Hi everyone, my name's Aisling. I was a member of the editorial board for El Buen Vivir on behalf of LASC, the Latin American Solidarity Centre based in Dublin. LASC was founded in 1996 and supports communities and human rights defenders across Latin America to defend their lives and territories in the face of ever more virulent extractive projects and increasing environmental pressures caused by the impacts of climate change. We do this in collaboration with our members and funding organisations through solidarity activities, awareness raising and other creative actions throughout the year. One of these projects is this journal, supported by Irish Aid, where we wanted to create a space for Latina artists and writers based in Ireland and all over the world to share their artistic expressions of El Buen Vivir. El Buen Vivir is a concept originating from the Andes and has turned into a continent-wide social movement or philosophy led primarily by Indigenous peoples and communities. It is an expression of resistance to the project of neoliberal extractivism and proposes a cosmic order in harmony, an alternative cosmic order in harmony with life and the earth. LASC proposed this collaboration with Channel as the only literature journal in Ireland that is dedicated to making a space for environmental issues through creative expression. El Buen Vivir would not have been possible and would not have come to life in such a beautiful manner had it not been for the guidance and efforts of Elizabeth, Cassia and Dorje at Channel. So I'd like to give a heartfelt thanks from LASC for all their support in making this project a reality over the last year and a half of work. I would also like to thank the dedication and time given by the editorial board for reading and selecting texts, especially to Rafael, for all his work in translating to and from Portuguese. We are delighted with the diversity of voices and perspectives in this volume, with writers and artists from North America, Mexico, Chile, Ecuador, and Brazil, and many artists from Latin America based in Ireland. They've been wonderful. It has been wonderful collaborating with them in both the edits and translations of their texts. And I hope you enjoy reading their work as much as I have.
Olá a todos, meu nome é Rafael Mendes, eu sou brasileiro e vivo aqui em Dublin tem 7 anos. Eu fui um dos tradutores da O Buen Viver. O autor Roberto Bolanho certa vez disse que a sua pátria, talvez sua única pátria, fossem seus filhos e a América Latina. De certa forma eu concordo com ele. Creio que para latino-americanos como nós, que acreditam numa grande pátria que vai do México até o sul da Argentina, uma América Latina mais democrática, menos desigual e mais esperançosa, parece ainda distante, mas a gente continua sonhando com essa América Latina. Então esse desejo de mostrar diferentes faces da América Latina foi o que me impulsionou a participar da antologia O Bem Viver. Nos textos que li, que traduzi, eu percebi como cada autor explora o seu bioma particular latino-americano. A gente tem artistas de várias partes do Brasil, do México, da Guatemala e de outras partes da América Latina que fala espanhol. E cada um deles tece um pouco desse grande mapa latino-americano. The Brazilian indigenous intellectual and activist Ailton Krenak says that life is not useful. According to him, us, the so-called human civilization, need to learn to cherish, protect, and have a more respectful relationship with the natural world. So I hope that when reading Living Well, readers can reflect on that idea, trying to resignify their relationship with nature. The climate disasters is looming over us. We need to take action. The Amazon forest and every other forest should be seen as the center of the world. In that sense, Latin America, which historically has been seen by the white Western world as something exotic, must be seen as the battleground for humanity's existence. So I hope that Living Well may help you to change your perception about the living world and about our relationship with nature, and that it opens a small window for what Latin America is and the many different cultures and experiences that exist in Latin America. Thank you.
Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome from ourselves at Channel to the launch of Living Well, El Buen Viver, El Buen Viver. When Last brought this project to us for collaboration, along with the funding from Irish Aid that was needed to bring it to life, we were delighted at the opportunity to work with writers and artists across Latin America and Ireland, many of them working in Spanish and Portuguese, whose work we'd never seen before, and who we might have never had the chance to engage and collaborate with through our own efforts alone. We're grateful to all this publication's contributors for sharing their work with us, for teaching us through that work about the linguistic, cultural and geographical frameworks that underlie their creative practices and their visions of El Buen Viver, and for allowing our editorial board, made up of volunteers from Last and Channel's networks, to edit and translate their work, attending as best we can all the while to the many difficulties and open questions that translation brings. Tonight's launch will feature readings from a selection of those contributors, and there'll be timestamps in the description box under the video to let you know who's reading when. We also have subtitles available for those viewers who don't speak all of the languages that our contributors will be reading in, that is Spanish, Portuguese and English, so do turn those on if you need them. Before we get started, I want to say a huge thank you to all our contributors and our editorial boards, to Last and to Irish Aid. Thank you, gracias, obrigada, and enjoy the launch.
Hola, mi nombre es Cecil Collins, poeta mexicana radicada en Estados Unidos. Hoy quiero compartirles, dado el lanzamiento de El Buen Vivir, un fragmento de mi participación. Se trata del poema Coyote. Canto versos para hablar otra lengua, ladera arriba, versos de la dicha y el agua dulce, versos del norte, versos indios y blancos, versos gigantes y negros, los versos del coyote. Canto versos color rojo para enterrar al coyote, el coyote paraje, coyote yuca, coyote flor de capricho. El coyote me llama como el farero a la nube, el coyote obrero, estero, contrato digno, coyote amigo. Coyote guardián de las mariposas, Homero Gómez González, de la guacamaya roja, Nora López, del bosque, Julián Carrillo Martínez, del río, José Luis Álvarez, del agua, Luis Urbano Domínguez Mendoza, Coyote Antimina, Isaías Cantú Carrasco, Coyote Energía Sustentable, Samir Flores, Cruz Soto. Un poema dedicado a todos los activistas y defensores del medio ambiente que han sido asesinados en México. Y para finalizar quiero compartir un poema que se titula Corazón de Balba y fue traducido del español al inglés por el poeta irlandés Dylan Brennan. Ulúlame la concholina con tu canto paria, doméñame, lústrame el nácar, aunque sea de vez en cuando, que las balbas de mi corazón te modelarán sus lágrimas.
As lavadeiras. Nas águas do Jequitinhonha, sentadas, em bando, lavando, lavando, elas vão levando. Entre as pernas que geraram tantos filhos, frutos da terra, perdidos no mundo, esfregam tecidos finos que nunca lhes pertenceram. Ensaboando a roupa alheia, cantam, lavando o coração, aliviando as almas antigas de mulheres esquecidas, violentadas, adoecidas, pela ferocidade do sertão, que é grande, onde cabe o mundo, mas que consegue deixar mudo o caboclo mais valente. O canto dessas mulheres, ferindo os males do cerrado, é uma espécie de oração.
Metalurgia, de Eugenia Toledo, de Chile, leído por Carolyn Wright, que tradujo el poema al inglés. Metalurgia, un sitio de la memoria. Viejo horno de cubilote, guardas en tu estómago la materia ardiente, revestido de ladrillos ocres. Pareces de lejos una torre de castillo o una voladura de anillos y mariposas. Te alimentas de carbón coque, de viejos fierros, de fundentes, montantes, lingotes y otros sólidos. Al aire se va tu humo, a la tierra tus escorias. Tu abrir y cerrar ojos, las toberas, tu fuego oxidado, tu radiante boca, indican con un trueno el tiempo de parir, como vertical cráter de volcán, un vómito, solo una contracción, una ráfaga de chispas de metal, tu arrebatado fulgor fundido, tu sangre cayendo en el crisol, la lava incandescente y olorosa corriendo por los intersticios secretos de los moldes, hasta que más tarde los hombres, como en el yunque de Goya, de un solo golpe de martillo, separan el cordón umbilical y la tierra. Instruido el fierro como torro, nacen las piezas unas tras otras, grises campanadas de la luna. Hello, this is Carolyn Wright reading Eugenia Toledo's poem Metallurgy. This is the English translation that I have done for Channel Magazine. It is called a sprue of memory. A sprue is a passage through which molten material is poured into a mold. Eugenia's father, Don Eugenio Toledo, operated a small foundry in the city of Temuco in the south of Chile. And Eugenia grew up there very close to that foundry. And so the poem is filled with imagery of that metal casting and that metal foundry. Metallurgy, a sprue of memory. Old smelting furnace, you hold in your belly the burning matter encased in ochre-hued bricks. From a distance, you look like a castle tower or a flight of rings and butterflies. They feed you with coking coal, scraps of iron, solvents, studs, ingots, and other solid matter. Your smoke goes up into the air, your slag into the soil. Your portholes open and close, your nozzles, your oxidized fire, your radiant mouth signal with a roar the moment of birth, like a volcano's vertical crater. A belching forth, only one contraction, a gust of metal sparks, your rapturous molten glow, your blood pouring into the crucible, incandescent, fragrant lava flowing through the secret interstices of the molds. Until later, the men, as in Goya's The Forge, with a single hammer blow, separate the umbilical cord from the earth. The iron trained like a bull. The pieces are born one by one, gray bell tollings of the moon. Thank you.
Tapioca e café todos os dias, cedo, pela manhã, antes da escrita que precede a visita à toalete, para depois as redes, as notícias, e revisar, e planejar, e cozer, e irrigar as plantas e dar aulas, às vezes viajar, às vezes não, esperar menos, esperar melhor, ficar horas sentado e sem angústia, fingir não ter a timidez e rir de si, cair em si consigo mesmo, saber que há pedra de gelo dentro de outro dentro e que derrete e derrama e rega as formas antes de dormir.
Hello, this is Carolyn Wright, and I am recording poem 43 by Alex Simoes in my translation into English. 43. Tapioca and coffee every morning, early in the morning before writing. That precedes the visit to the toilet, and then the networks, the news, and revise and plan and bake and water the plants and teach classes, sometimes travel, sometimes not. Expect less, expect better. Stay seated for hours and without anguish. Pretend not to be shy and laugh at yourself. Fall into yourself, with yourself, to know that there is, yes, a shard of ice inside of another inside, and that it melts and spills out and waters the forms before sleep.
Hola, mi nombre es Tania Hernández, soy de Guatemala y vivo en Alemania desde hace algún tiempo, extrañando mi país de origen. Agradezco a Channel por la oportunidad de ser parte de este lindo proyecto. Quiero leerles un fragmento del cuento que será parte de la edición del Buen Vivir. Es solo un fragmento pequeño porque el cuento es largo. Y también al final leeré un poema pequeño de mi autoría. Espero que les guste. Gracias. Flores amarillas. Fragmento. Mamá me pidió que no le contara a nadie. Ni se darán cuenta, me dijo, y siguió tejiendo escarpines para el bebé. Había tejido mucho desde que se enteró que sería abuela. A pesar de que nos habían asegurado que el bebé sería varón, mi madre no confiaba en las nuevas tecnologías y había tejido toda la ropita con flores amarillas. Identidades. ¿Quién se atreve a decirle a las hojas que no son flores? Al barrilete que no es pájaro. Al arce que no le crecen mariposas.
Hi again, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the launch as much as we did. If listening to all our wonderful contributors has inspired you to buy a copy, you'll find Living Well, El Buen Vivir, U Bem Vivir available for sale through the channel website at the link in the description box under this video, with profits to be split between LAST and channel. Your purchase supports the vital work that LAST do for communities who are facing increasing threats to their lives and lands, as well as supporting us at channel to build a community of writers and artists grounded in ecological concern, and we're all truly grateful for your support. A final huge thank you goes out to everyone who read their work for tonight's event, and everyone involved in creating this publication. It's been a pleasure working with you all. So wishing you a very happy holiday period, so a very happy December, whatever this time of year brings for you in your part of the world. And good night.